Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Habib Ali and I am an ICT tutor by profession. In today's tutorial we are going to be learning about the purpose and when to use the IFERROR function, how to use the IFERROR function with a VLOOKUP, and also how to use the IFERROR function with multiplication formula. So in today's tutorial, I will be using two different examples of where you can apply the IFERROR function. So when you are ready, let's go and make a start. I'm using a file called tutorial 66 IFERROR function with a VLOOKUP for today's tutorial. I've left a link for you in the description down below for you to get access to this file. If you do want to work along with myself, feel free to do that. I shall give you a few seconds. Okay, so welcome back. Now I've got a little menu here, four different drinks with the relevant prices and an order section here where a customer assistant can take a customer's order. So in these four cells I have already created what we call a drop-down list. Now if you don't know how to create one, I have done a full tutorial on how to create a drop-down list. This is lesson number 64, and again I shall leave a link for you in the description so you can learn everything about a drop-down list. So let's go ahead and select hot chocolate. Just assuming this customer comes in and they say they want a hot chocolate, so the customer assistant can simply select using the drop-down list the relevant drink that they want. The next thing we need is to work out the price automatically. So when the hot chocolate is selected, we want the price to be looked up within this table and the price to be given to us automatically. So we do that by using a VLOOKUP. Now if this is your first time learning or understanding what a VLOOKUP function is in Microsoft Excel, then please do have a look at tutorial number 65 that I have created, where I am explaining everything about the VLOOKUP. So feel free to do that. Again, I shall leave a link for you in the description box down below. So let's go work out the price first of all. So we start with equals. We want a VLOOKUP. I can press the tab key for it to be selected, and then we have four different arguments. The first one is the VLOOKUP. So our VLOOKUP cell is going to be this one. Then we press the comma, and remember I'm not going to make the E3 the lookup value for this to be an absolute reference, because as I replicate down I want this to subsequently change and take in each one of these cells. The next argument is the table array. Now the table array is going to be all this cells here with all the drinks and the drinks prices. This is where we are looking up for the relevant drink and their prices. So I am going to make the table array, however, fixed by using absolute cell references, by using the function key F4 on the keyboard, and then press the comma. And next thing we need is the column index. Now the column index is going to be column number 2. This is what we want, the price. I have put a couple of labels here for you so that you understand what I mean by column 1, and this is column number 2. The reason I'm doing that is because a lot of Excel users, sometimes they assume that column A is always your column number 1 when you are using the VLOOKUP. That is not the case. We always take up the column numbers within the range, the table array in this case. So this is why column number 2 is for the price. So I'm going to type in column number 2. Then I need another comma, and the final argument is the range lookup, which is basically asking us, are we looking for an approximate match or an exact match? Well, we are looking for an exact match because we want the drinks to be displayed with the full names. So I'm just either going to type in false or I can type in 0. They both mean the same thing. and then finally close the bracket and press enter, and let's see what we get. Well, we've got the price. We've got £3.50 for a hot chocolate. There's hot chocolate, and hot chocolate is £3.50. So if I select another drink, let's say a coffee, the price should change automatically. £2.50 for a coffee, £2.50. So far working absolutely fine using the VLOOKUP. Now let us replicate this into the other remaining 3 cells, because that's the general idea. When we do one function, we want to replicate this into the other cells so that we don't have to do these functions individually for each of the cells. That will be very time consuming. So let's replicate these into the other cells and let's see what happens. Okay, so we've got a lot of errors. We've got errors. The reason we have got errors is because we haven't got anything in these 3 cells. Now with the VLOOKUP, if the VLOOKUP value is empty, there's nothing in there, then it's not matching any data within this table. Therefore, we have an error. Okay, so we'll come back to that in a minute. Let's complete the first order of this customer. So they've placed an order for a coffee. We know it's £2.50, and they've decided to order 3 coffees. Now for us to calculate the subtotal for this drink, I'm simply going to use a multiplication formula here. So we've got £7.50, and then as a result you can see the order total is automatically being generated. So far so good. It is showing £7.50. So I'm going to now replicate this again for the same reason, so we don't have to type in them individually in each cell, and let's see what happens. Okay, so we've got more errors. We've got errors, and even the order total, the sum function here, which I have used to add up these cells, is also being displayed as an error. Because with the sum function, just for your understanding, with the sum function, it will only add up numbers or even text within a cell, but it will not include any, or it will not add up any cells that contain any error messages, and therefore it is also consequently displaying an error message in there as well. So at the moment, our order form is full of errors. So if we get a customer who comes in and places an order for only one particular drink, and we do this, the other remaining three rows will be full of errors. But we don't want these error messages to be displayed. We want them to be gone. So that our order form will look a lot more professional, and ultimately we will get a final order total in this cell so we can charge the customer correctly. So we are going to use this so-called IFERROR function to eradicate all these error messages from these cells. So I'm going to now just edit this VLOOKUP function and include the IFERROR function, and hopefully we will no longer see any more error messages in the remaining cells as well when I replicate down. So I'm just double clicked in this cell, brings up the full function that I have used already, and just after the equal sign I am going to introduce the IFERROR function. So just going to type in if, and I get a list of all the different if functions that is possible. So I'm just going to select IFERROR from the list and press the tab key, and it will give it to me. Now the IFERROR function has 2 arguments. So the first one is the value. That simply means whatever you have already got in there. So my VLOOKUP function is the representation of this value for this argument. So I don't really need to do anything there, but I'm going to come at the end and press the comma to move on to the next argument. Now the next argument is the value IFERROR. This is the important one, and this is how we can get rid of these error messages on our screen. So if we tell Excel that when we get such error messages like this, we don't want them to be displayed, but in its place we want it to be displayed as a blank cell. So what we can do is put the opening quotation and then the closing quotation together, and this will tell Excel to give us the cell as a blank cell with nothing being displayed on the screen. And then if I close the bracket and press enter, so I have applied it to this original VLOOKUP function that I have created. You can see that I have got the IFERROR function there, and then we've got the VLOOKUP, and at the end I'm telling Excel to display this as a blank cell because I've used the opening and the closing quotation. So if I replicate this down into the other cells now, we will no longer see these error messages in these cells. Absolutely, look at that. So you can see there are no more error messages, so the customer can place an order and the customer assistant can take the order without having to worry about all these error messages popping on the screen. Now we also have more error messages in this column here, the total column, where the multiplication formula has been used. So what we can do is also use the IFERROR function within this multiplication formula to tell Excel, look, if we get an error, please don't display it as an error message, simply display it as a blank cell. So let's do this as well. I'm going to double click, just get into this, and then again at the beginning, just after the equal sign, if I type in if and then select IFERROR from the list, press the tab key, and we've got the two arguments again. Remember, the value is this time is going to be the multiplication formula, which we already have, and then click after it, press the comma, and then the value if error is going to be the quotations, two of them, and the represent, remember, is going to be a blank cell, and then close the bracket, press enter. Now if I replicate all the way down again, hopefully these will disappear, and also this the final order total will be now calculated instead of showing a value, an error message in this cell. Let's see. So I'm just going to replicate down. So there you are. These are now empty or blank cells being displayed as a blank cell, and our order total price is also being calculated now automatically. So now the customer assistant can, if any more drinks were placed, so let's say this customer places another order for a hot chocolate this time, the price will be calculated automatically because we have a VLOOKUP here, and let's say there's 2 of the hot chocolate, and this will be calculated automatically, £7, and as a result the order total will be calculated automatically as well, and we no longer have any error messages in these 2 cells or in these 2 cells, because we have told Excel that if we see an error, for it to be displayed as a blank cell. But please do make a note that even though Excel is displaying it on the screen as a blank cell, ultimately this would be an error if we were to get rid of our IFERROR function within this calculation, because no drink has been selected from in this cell. The minute we select a drink from this given list, let's select a latte, the price will come up automatically. The only thing we have to do is put a quantity in there, press enter, and the subtotal for that drink will be calculated, and the overall total will be adjusted as well accordingly. So I hope you have fully understood the IFERROR function and when to use them in Microsoft Excel. So if you have, please don't forget to share this with your friends and family so they can also benefit from this tutorial. And also don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you have not done so, and look after yourself, and I shall see you over in the next tutorial. So please do look after yourself. Until then, goodbye.